This is another example of what I'm talking about. The Bitman says, comparing Windows gaming on Linux isn't super fair either. It's more comparable to emulating other platforms' games, e.g. PS5, than running native Windows games. This is the same kind of argument that I see when it's like, no, it's not fair. It's not fair to run that DDR5 on that one. Or it's not fair to turn hyperthreading on Intel CPUs. That was a thing back in the day. Yeah. It's not fair to turn on hyperthreading because AMD CPUs don't have it, so you should eliminate variables. It's like, no. No, what we're evaluating is the user experience, and users want to play video games. And so if your options are install this or install this, and your goal is play video games, it doesn't matter from a user standpoint, user experience. It doesn't matter if one of them is emulating, or rather not emulating. It doesn't matter if one of them is emulating and one of them is running it natively. It just matters what the user experience is.
And there's also little things like
it's not fair or unfair. It just is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like
life's not fair.
I personally think that, and you're going to run into this type of stuff on Windows too. 100%. Okay.
So I ran into some really dumb stuff on Windows today. I can't remember what it was.
I run into really dumb stuff on Windows all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're not.
I remember.
We're not trying to be Windows crusaders. What?
Yeah. So here's a really dumb one. OpenVPN. Okay. So sometimes I'll accidentally leave it connected and I'll put my computer to sleep, like on my laptop. Yeah. If I wake it up and I still have the folder that I was navigating using my VPN connection open, no amount of reconnecting it and reconnecting it will allow me to. Windows Explorer just gets confused.
Yeah.
I will not be able to do anything with that folder. I have to go restart I have to close OpenVPN, restart the Explorer process, open OpenVPN, connect to it, then open Explorer, then I'll be able to navigate. And it's just like these stupid kinds of dances. Solid Mixer. I disagree that command line is not a good user experience for a gamer. There is no disagree. You're just objectively wrong. I'm sorry. Thank you for being one of my paid subscribers. Love you, but you're actually just wrong.
There are people that are willing to take you up on the challenge of being able to complete operations faster in a command line than you can in a GUI.
Really? Yes. Okay.
I think those people, if I could argue.
Who are they?
Just somebody on Twitter. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like one of the float plane staff.
No.
That. Yeah.
I think those people would be looking for intentionally loaded situations.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean,
if
you have to copy 8,000 files or something like that, yeah, sure.
I don't even know necessarily, but like I think there might be situations where it is better. I think overall you're gonna do better using a GUI. But anyways,
Solid Mixer, it's not subjective. For 99% of the things the typical gamer would need to do on their computer, it is faster to use a GUI.
Because that's part of the problem, right? Is sorry, I keep moving away from the mic.
You do.
I think part of the problem is that we're dealing with terms that some people might be using in different ways. So like when he's saying like a gamer, well, there could be someone who's like a DevOps Linux admin at work and a gamer at home.
Mm-hmm.
And when they want to do stuff on their computer, they're so native to the command line that they're just going to be able to do it faster. That's fine.
Right, but that just means they suck at using a GUI then.
Sure.
In most situations.
Yeah. And like a lot of gaming things are visual anyway. So like, yeah, you can probably find a way to, you can definitely start your games through the command line, but it's going to be faster.
Like I see a lot of arguments for installing applications using the command line on Linux.
Spooky dookie. Yeah.
But the problem with that is that it assumes that you already know to the exact character what the name of the package you're trying to install is.
Well, you can also query a list, but I mean, you'd still.
That's not faster in the command line then.
Yeah.
You should use your package manager, or rather, you should use your graphical package manager.
If it's there.
Or you should Google it.
Yeah.
So either way, this is one of those things where unless you happen to have that requisite knowledge, and I feel like a lot of people live in a bit of a bubble.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that going on.
Where they're assuming people have this requisite knowledge. When I say gamer, I don't mean you. You might be a gamer. Sure, that's cool. But you're also a lot of other things. Maybe you're a father. Maybe you're a martial artist. Maybe you're a musician, right? When I say gamer, I'm talking about gamers in general. In general, gamers do not want to use the command line and it is not more efficient.
The core question So we talked earlier about how like the core idea is using Linux for gaming. The core question is essentially is now the year of the Linux desktop. And one of the prerequisites for that to be a thing is gaming
for a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
Not everyone.
But I'd say in a lot of situations it almost doesn't even matter, because like if it's a family computer,
sure.
If gaming is important for one of the people,
yes,
they're going to push that argument really hard.
There's a lot of forever alones that don't have a family to share their computer.
That's true. They might already be running Linux.
I can't believe you just did that.
You set me up. You knew that was coming. That was so on purpose. You can't even say you can't believe I just did that. When you literally like, you threw the alley-oop.
I can't believe you've done this.
And you're like, bro, get it. Anyways, so the idea is it time yet? And like, while the experience for you as a gamer who uses Linux might be all right, it's the general population doesn't want to learn command line, and it's not going to change. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that is literally never going to happen. I promise you that.
The whole industry is going the other direction.
Solid Mixer says, "Hey, that's cool if we disagree. Thanks for doing the challenge anyway. It's cool to see you guys trying it out. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun."
Great response. So one landmine thing that we ran into, this was not pre-planned. This was not planned before we started this challenge. I don't even think this was planned before that night. But we wanted to play Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever. We wanted to play it because we played on Windows. It's a fun game. You should try it. We also had some amount of information, which was that Linus had looked it up, and there was an official guide from the community, whatever, to get Forge Alliance Forever working on Linux. So going into this project, we know there's a game that we want to play, and we know that it works on Linux, right?
Yeah.
This is one of those problems where like the argument was brought up earlier, and the thing that I was actually trying to refer this to is a little in the past now, but the argument came up that like, oh, well, you're just playing games that like aren't really compatible with Linux, or no one's figured out the compatibility layer stuff or whatever else. It's like, okay, in this situation, we actually tried to find a game that people had already figured out all the stuff for, and lo and behold, you can get it to run, but the guide is super, super, super out of date.
Yep.
To the point where there's packages that it's telling you to download that are not in those repositories anymore. So you actually can't get them. You have to find a different way to get them. And that different way to get them is extremely unintuitive, to the point where there was people suggesting ways for us to get it that were like self-proclaimed Linux nerds and experts. And those ways were wrong.
Yes.
Which is fine. Like, I'm not blaming them, but like all I'm saying is it was very unintuitive and it was difficult to do. And that's a bad experience compared to the alternative experience on Windows.
Yep.
Where you download the exe file, you install it, you log in.
So usually they work very hard. Sometimes they have some downtime. They're great community. I actually posted in the Discord. That's what I was trying to pull up my post. Just as a user, I just posted in the technical help Discord. I did use my username, but a lot of the people there don't know who the heck I am. And I was like, hey, so running on Linux, is that like, this guide, I had a hard time following this guide. And they were like, ooh, that guide. Yeah, there's really no excuse for this, given that like some of the really prominent members of the community actually daily drive Linux and game exclusively in Forge Alliance Forever on Linux. They were just like, yeah. Okay, here. Yeah, I found my post. Anyone want to update the how to install FAF on Linux doc? I haven't been able to play for 3 weeks, lol. And they're like, which doc are you using? I post the wiki, their own wiki. And I'm like, Java is kicking my ass. They're like, nah, someone else pops in. Yeah, that's out of date. Use this forum thread. I believe there's a Lutra script.
I don't think
so. Their wiki didn't have the Lutra script. Also, I think I tried the Lutra script. I haven't tried it since they suggested it, so maybe it's been updated or something. But I thought we tried the Lutra script as part of the process, and I think it was out of date as well.
There being something not good with Lutra.
There was some kind of problem.
And that's a community thing. Blah, blah, blah. But one of the problems with the Linux setup, having tons of different distros, having tons of different DEs, having a lot of it be community based, is you always have a circular loop of excuses that you can go through,
Yeah.
and none of it matters.
User experience.
Yes.
2 words.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So the user experience, spoiler alert, for non-gaming,
Very good.
very good.
I would argue very good.
Maybe even excellent.
Yeah. Which
and
is
that was
why
for
I'm
both
switching
of us.
to say it again, which is why I'm genuinely switching my work laptop to Linux, and I genuinely think it's going to be significantly better experience.
But that doesn't mean that it's perfect. And so what I'm hoping is that there are definitely some members of the Linux community that do not want to hear anything other than that Linux is perfect and amazing. But there are a lot of members of the community that do seem to be seeing this feedback and understanding that actually there are things that need to improve. And if an above average technical user is running into problems that are as simple as, okay, I'm not able to open and manipulate this type of document without ending up down 6 rabbit holes of ways to create a local security certificate on your system. Like, this is ridiculous. That something's got to change. And it's not something that is fundamentally wrong with Linux. It's just something that needs to be optimized across the various distros and desktop environments. Or ideally, you just have a consolidation take place for desktop environments and for distros, because right now one of the biggest problems is the fragmentation. And it's like, I understand that a lot of them have their own strengths, but I also believe that if there were more people working together towards a single goal, progress would probably be faster in at least some ways.
Yeah. Oh, crap. Sorry. Before we do,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say about the EPOS Vox video
Right.
is, and I have mentioned this on this show, and I strongly defend it. If you're running like Arch, the whole internet says you shouldn't run Arch. So whatever. But I would say that a problem with that is there's a fair amount of distros that are based on Arch. Garuda is the specific one that EPOS Vox is talking about.
Yep.
That have a lot of the same issues, but are advertised to general audience. I had Garuda blasted to me a ton.
Oh yeah, I got a ton of
it's
recommendations for Manjaro. People are like,
That
"Where
too.
did you get the idea of using Manjaro?" From all the
It
people.
was
who
one of
said
the
that it
highest
was-
voted ones on one of the polls.
from
that
the
we
people
ran.
who said that it was good because it was like more bleeding edge and better for newer hardware. It's actually really interesting to see a lot of the talking points that get parroted about why we're having a bad experience. It's because we don't have an AMD GPU. Actually, it has nothing to do with that. Or it's because we're running really exotic hardware. The only thing in my setup that I think qualifies as exotic, now that I know that the Thunderbolt 3 dock works absolutely effortlessly, is my audio mixer. Everything else about my setup is like, what exotic what? It's a Threadripper 3000, which is not a new CPU or platform by any stretch of the imagination. It's a 2000 series NVIDIA card.
And
So
that's not even a consumer chip, isn't it?
it's a workstation chip, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The point is just that it's a CPU from like, it was released
I'm
like
just saying-
almost 2 years ago.
Linux is all like tuned fairly well for workstation stuff. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I've got like, again, I've got like an 18-month-old GPU. And then beyond that, what makes a computer exotic?
Yeah, I don't have anything exotic.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people just kind of going, "Oh, there's a problem. Must be this thing I heard." But you have to actually look at what the problems are in order to find out if they're correlated with that like thing you heard about before.
Oh, sorry. I still got to get this out about the Arch thing. He talks in his video about how there's sentiment on Arch boards that updating your system is user error.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely like
That's crazy if
insane.
you want. Okay, and I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
If you're super hardcore, there being a distro for you is cool.
yes.
And if updating is user error because you should know what is in all of those updates, and if it causes a problem, that's on you. That's fine in those super hardcore environments. I actually support that. That's totally cool. But when there's other distros that don't have the red flags that Arch does,
Yeah.
because they might even be based on Arch, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
Like, and then fragmentation becomes kind of weird because, like, why are you even making Garuda?
Why do you exist?
Or why are you advertising it in the way that you are? That might even be a different.
Well, I mean, it's
problem.
you gotta. Words are a funny thing, right? We gotta avoid the word advertising because my understanding is nobody in
Or
Garuda doesn't
communicating what it
advertise.
is,
Nobody's
I don't know.
paying
Yeah.
to promote Garuda. So it becomes just this. It becomes this really complicated sort of game of messenger. What's it? Telephone. It becomes this complicated game of telephone where you've got users who are understandably enthusiastic about the things that they love, creating narratives that just don't make any sense.
And like maybe there is some really big reason for it. I have done almost zero independent research on Garuda. I was just watching the Epos Vox video. Check it out; it's pretty good.
I saw it recommended quite a few times.
But yes, exactly. I got it recommended to me a bunch. And if I didn't do like tons of research into it, I might not have known that the community would have told me that updating my system was user error. And if I knew that, I would have never used that distro. But it's not like Garuda is often not communicated with the same red flags that Arch has. And I think it should be. I don't know, whatever.